Oh, good morning. I'm going to go ahead and interrupt the guys. This is 1100 WSG. I'm Utah LaVern, and this is one street over. What's going on one street over from where you live? Odds are kids are sleeping in. That's what's going on one street over from where you're living because school is out. How do you move that mic this way so it's not covering your pretty face? Yeah, because it's like sticking right in. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That looks so much better. But anyway, Katie Allen's with me, fellow professional in the education system. You're a counselor, though.
Yes.
Yes. You do like the scheduling all the classes. What kind of counselor are you?
So I work for actually a contractor. I'm not employed by the school system.
Okay.
I'm an outside resource that comes in every day.
Okay.
And I work my population is military affiliated.
I knew that you worked with military kids, but I thought it was still in the context of the school system.
No, I do not. No, I'm not a school employee. No, I work for a contractor.
All right, that makes sense. But and so with all that said, and I think I put this. The other day I put everything up on the wrong Facebook page. Let me see. I think I'm on the wrong one again. No, I'm on the right one. I guess it's there. So. Hi, everybody, social media. I'm just out of it this morning. I am just absolutely out of it. We had a baseball game. We had a baseball game last night in Mount Juliet.
Oh, okay.
And wasn't really that late, but, we just came. I'm just like, I got to get to school today. I messed up my computer a few weeks ago and spilled water on it.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
Yeah, it'll do it. And the thing I tell my kids, everybody's like, didn't you tell your kids not to have water near their computers? I'm like, yes, I do. And I still did it. And the children, of course, have all been like, oh, Miss Vivio. But I've lost all my work. I backed up a lot of stuff, but some essential things I needed, they're not there. So I'm having to recreate a lot of files. It's okay.
Yeah,
sometimes a clean slate's not a bad thing, because sometimes
it's a good way to look at it.
I mean, truly. And so I'm like, I'm still hopeful we can recover some of the things that are on there though, but I'm not counting on it. So I'm having to redo some paper. As a career technical education teacher, we have to do a thing called an SSQI folder, which it shows the state what we're doing to prove that we're, doing what we're saying we're doing. And I think that's reasonable, but it's still a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
So I'll be there. I'm done with school stuff, but I'm going to be working on that stuff. And since I don't have a laptop, I can't do it at home. So I'm going to be at school on the desktop.
Oh, no. Okay.
It's all good. It's all right. It's okay.
Right. But the students aren't there. So you just do
I can concentrate.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's all good.
Okay.
But, silly me. But, but that's all right. So,
it's a clean slate, like you said.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, I know. I'll keep telling myself that. But it's clean slate. It's a clean slate. This is Memorial Day weekend, so I probably will. I got a PD day next Thursday because we're going to try to live stream our news next year.
Oh,
which will mean a whole lot less editing on things. The kids don't like to edit news. They do not. They don't. Right. There's this we got to edit news, Miss Vivio. I'm like, well, we do news 3 days a week, and so I end up having to do a lot of the editing because they just like, I have 2 or 3 kids that are just awesome at it, but you hate to make them do it all the time,
Yeah.
And so live streaming will keep us from having to do so much news editing, and they can do more of their little fun films they like to do because they love doing that.
Sure, that's creative stuff. That's fun.
Yeah, so we're working on that, but I got a PD day that we're going to be working on that on Thursday. So I'm far from done for the summer, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. So what do you do during the summer?
What do I do? So yesterday was my first day at home, and I always do this every year. The first day or two is kind of weird. It's like I'm kind of like just floating without an anchor to like say, be here, here, and here. Because it's like, oh, okay. So I kind of just I had all these things in mind I was going to do. Got a couple things done, not much. So during the summer, this will be my first summer that I've not either worked a little bit part-time or gone on some kind of a mission trip or whatever. So we are going to have 2 new grandbabies this year. This summer. So I'm just like, I just decided I'm just going to, thank you. So I just decided I'm just going to hang around and just wait for those babies. And when I hear they're on their way, just travel. So one's in Kansas City, one's at the end of the summer in Illinois, not far.
Okay.
Not far, about 3 hours away.
Okay.
So I just thought I'm just going to hang out and just kind of
wait on the babies.
Wait on babies.
I don't blame. What a wonderful summer.
Yeah.
I love that.
I might go up and see my mom and dad are there in Ohio. Go up and see them, and So just love it. Just like do a little bit of Yeah.
Well, very good. That sounds wonderful. I'm going to be going to Kansas City to see my nephew and his crew.
Fun.
Yeah.
When you gonna go there?
Probably very quickly, like in the next couple of weeks. I mean, I've got to call him and say, okay, make sure he's not on some cruise. He's one of these that likes to go on cruises,
gotcha.
and he's got 3 little kids, and he's got a daughter from an earlier marriage, and she has kids, and so it's just he's in his 40s. I like to remind him because he was born in '79, so he's on more like one of my own kids than he is my nephew. But
Gotcha.
so since his mom passed, we're all he's got now, and his mom and my mother. So it's like that was his maternal foundation, and so he needs his Aunt Vern, I guess. And my sister-in-law is super close with him, my brother's wife. So we've got that, but we still.
It's nice to visit, though.
That's just it.
Family.
So it's like once you start losing those anchors in your family, like my mom, we'd all see his family when we'd go see Mama.
Right.
And so now with her gone, if I want to see him, man, we've got to be intentional about it. So we're going to go to Kansas City, but and see them, and then we've got to go to Michigan for a reunion for an 89-year-old. Well, it's a big party for our 89-year-old uncle up there, Uncle Cooch, who served in Vietnam, was a Green Beret. I mean, we're talking big dog daddy. Wow. And he was a jump master. He's woof.
High speed.
Yeah, he's intense, but a wonderful man. And then we're going to Mexico for our mission trip. So
cool. You've got a big summer plan.
Mm-hmm. We got a big summer.
Well,
yeah.
Good.
Getting to take my kid and his bride to Mexico for the first time and introduce them to my family down in El Rosario. So I can't wait. Can't wait. Because you go on these trips and you get so close to these folks. Do you have a place that y'all have a reoccurring mission that you go on?
No. I
So you meet new people every time, kind of.
Yes. In the last few years, we've had like a different kind of direction with our missions, and we do have like a group that we've sponsored, or we've given monetary help to in Honduras, but we haven't really taken a group down there for a couple of years. So,
right.
We're kind of. I think this same organization wants to focus more on, increase their focus on missions here in the States.
Right.
And so I'm kind of interested in maybe getting a group going to West Virginia.
Okay. That would be good.
So I don't know. We'll see how that works. I'm thinking about that. Praying about that.
And there's a lot of people that are working in this area because this is now the mission field, y'all.
Yes.
And that doesn't, that's just the truth. It is now the mission field. And so people are starting to realize that.
Yeah.
But, it is just what it is. So, but I love that. Who was I talking to the other day that they were talking more about missions here in America? And I can't remember exactly what it was, but now there's a guy who I worked with from the Congo, when I was and by the way, Katie, this is Faith Friday. And so we intentionally like to do things about faith. I mean, we talk about this, the county and all the things going on. But we try to be very intentional about our faith on Fridays. And we have reoccurring guests. Katie Allen comes in and sees me on fourth Friday. And I just love that because we just met because of Lee Marie and your husband's military service, and just another amazing soldier. Your husband served how many years?
23.
23 years. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Thank you for your service. God bless you.
Absolutely.
That's the reason why she works with military kids. But no, what I was saying is when I was working at the church, I worked for Madison Church of Christ for about 7 years. And really, actually, prior to that, when I came back from working at the Blaze, it was right about the time the Coptic Christians were being persecuted. They had those that were slaughtered on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just became intrigued with it. And I did not realize that we had so many Egyptians in Nashville, and started working with some of the newcomers, and ended up doing English second language for about 2 years with a lot of newcomers from Egypt. And I've still got, as a matter of fact, I was at a betrothal service this past Sunday for one of the kiddos that I met when he first got here that was getting betrothed at the Coptic church. And the one over in Mount Juliet, I can't say the name of it. There's St. George and St. Mary's and all those, but this one's one of the saints that's very hard to pronounce for me. It starts with a P. But anyway, So we're over at this church for that, but and so I love English second language. I love working with people and helping them learn English that are new immigrants. And so while I was at church, it kind of became known that was a passion for me. And so people would come into the church and want to find somebody to help them with English. This wonderful gentleman named Solomon from the Congo came in, and he was in a village that was overrun during some conflict, right? And ended up living in a refugee camp in the Congo. He went in there as a teen, met his wife there, had something like 4 or 5 kids in the refugee camp, was finally sponsored to become a citizen here or to immigrate to America. Came here. They've had a couple of kids since they got here. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he came into the church looking for somebody to help with English, and I was just so honored to work with this gentleman. And I said, why are you, what's your whole drive? And he's like, because y'all need us. Oh. He goes, I want to be here as a preacher. Okay. I want to be able to preach in English. Nice. And so the text that we use the Bible to work on English, and he would bring me passage and he's like, you need to explain this to me. I don't understand it in English. And so it was just such a wonderful relationship. But he was one very passionately that's like, oh, you are the mission field now. I was like, wow, got somebody from the Congo that was in a refugee camp that's here to minister to us. Does that not get you? Yeah. It's like, wow. Oh, so, but there's a lot to do here in the States. But I've got family down in Mexico. They're my spiritual family, but I got to see them every year. Okay, great. Hilda and Pilar and all, Freddie and Alicia and all, just all these folks down there that we just are so close to. Okay. And,
So you guys go back to the same spot every year, kind of. Okay.
Yeah, we go it's in the Baja Peninsula. Okay. And so it's about, you go in right there we fly into San Diego, cross it in Tijuana, and go over to Ensenada. That's our kind of, the City of Children we're the City of Children's located, which is an orphanage. Okay. There is an office for Baja Missions. And so Baja Missions facilitates from the City of Children address in Ensenada and then goes down the Baja Peninsula. Okay. And we're there's one church further south than us now, but we were for a long time the furthest south. So we're about halfway down the peninsula in the oldest city in the Baja, which is El Rosario. Okay. And so, anyway, but that's where we go. Great. Yeah. And I've got a friend
to hear about that.
I've got a friend of mine from, she has dual citizenship, Hilda, and I met her at a conference at the City of Children, and we've just become dear, dear friends. And so she goes with us and works as one of our translators. Okay. And then a woman named Pilar, who grew up in the City of Children, works for Baja Missions. And so those two ladies, I have to see them every year. That's cool. That's good I have to see them every year. So,
all right, well, good.
Yeah, so it's fun. That's our plans, but. Okay. Anyway, what do you want to talk about today, Katie?
Oh, golly, I don't know. When you called yesterday, I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about Memorial Day because we absolutely, I was in here plenty early to start right at 7:00, but there was just an awesome song playing that I didn't want to interrupt, just about God and country and the importance of keeping that foundation of faith in the everything that we do. Everything we do, everything we do. And I don't think there's a more important time than Memorial Day to remember that sacrifice, because the people who put on the uniform, there's no greater gift than that you would, lay your life down for somebody. Right. Every one of them are saying, I will do that. Yep. And unfortunately, far too many have had to do that, and so that's what this is about. Yep. So.
Go ahead. So I think on Monday, right, we're having the Memorial Day service in Springfield. I think Jeff, my husband's going to doing a speech.
Let me see. Lee Marie sent me all these, and I do need to clarify something. I said yesterday that what was going on with the kiddos at this American Legion was yesterday. It is actually today. I had that wrong. I apologize, Lee Marie. But at the American Legion today at 10:30, the ladies of the auxiliary are having a special Poppy Day presentation and an activity for the kiddos. Yes. So 10:30 today at the American Legion, you want to take your kids out there. Now, she sent me this other schedule the other day. Let's see here. Let me go back here and find it. Okay, Monday. She sent me the one. There's one in White House at the Municipal Complex at 105 College Street in White House. Lee Marie, I don't see the one for Springfield. If you've got info on that. Now, there's one at Austin and Bell in Greenbrier on Monday.
Okay.
But which one do you think your husband's going to?
Maybe it is Greenbrier. I thought it was going to be here in Springfield, but I could be wrong. So, but he is going to give I think he's doing like a little bit of a 5-minute speech or something like that. Right. And maybe it is Greenbrier. I don't want to confuse people.
Well, I'll look that up in just a second. Okay. But we've got, I know there's one at Austin and Bell. I had Joe and Mark in here yesterday from the veterans for the VFW. Joe Eden and Mark Riley, and they were saying I know Joe is going to be at the one at Greenbrier and the one in White House. So if there may be one here in Springfield, but Monday in Greenbrier at 9, they're having one at Austin and Bell. That's at 2619 Highway 41, and so that's at 9 o'clock. And then they've got one at 11 in White House at the Municipal Complex, and right there at the flag post at the Municipal Complex. So we'll see if there's one actually in Springfield, and we'll kind of look that up. Okay. And if Lee Marie's listening, she'll send me that information. Now they did get the flags out. I saw them. We were dealing with a flat tire yesterday, so I would have loved to have stopped and helped. But they had the flags that they put out at the Springfield Memorial Gardens at 5 yesterday, and let's see. Let's see here. We've also got, of course, the Buddy Poppies are going to be out everywhere. Now, they're putting flags today at 5 at the Greenbrier Cemetery in Greenbrier. So there's another chance for you to do that. So that might be something we could tag in and help do. But they're going to put, they did it last night at Springfield Memorial Gardens. Tonight they're doing it at the Greenbrier Cemetery in Greenbrier. Message, can you text your husband and see where he's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Say, hey, honey, where is it you're going? Yeah, give us some more details. But because I haven't heard from Lee Marie just yet. But the big thing, too, Joe gave me a bunch of these little metal poppies, and I think I actually have them with me. But I think I still have them in my bag here because I love these little metal ones that they have. They're just so cool. Let's see here. I think I've got some more of them. Yep. But you're going to see the Buddy Poppies out. And guys, when you see these, they're doing them for donations because all the money that they raise with these things goes to helping our veterans. Joe was just talking about different things that they've done. Here you go, Katie. Different things that they've done. He gave me a whole bag of them.
Nice.
Here's one for you, hubby.
Yeah, thank you.
But he said, they do this because they're trying to raise money for the veterans. And so if you see these guys out, just give them a $20 bill or something like that to go to the veterans, and you will be so glad you did. And I love these because they hold up. I like the traditional ones. Joe was telling me, he goes, when they first gave me these, I had a fit. I like the traditional ones, and I get that because they're just something iconic. My husband's sweet little grandma, she had several boys that served in the military. This is the mother of the uncle we're going up to honor on his 89th birthday, and so she served in the Women's Auxiliary. And she would sell these all the time. She was always working and doing that kind of stuff. And so Mark has such wonderful memories of his grandmother and those little poppies, the little red poppies, the little tissue paper ones. And so you get that in your mind, and that's that kind of nostalgia thing.
Right.
But these are so practical.
Yeah, I know.
Nice. And you've got these, and you can put these on your collar, and they're not going to go. Because I've always had a hard time getting the other ones to stay on and to look like something other than just a little wad of tissue.
Right, exactly. So Jeff, it is a Greenbrier. I'm sorry. Yeah, Greenbrier is where we're going to be for Monday at 9 a.m. Austin and Bell Funeral Home.
Okay.
Greenbrier.
So there you go. You can go hear Jeff, and just a great. I had, I met him before I met you.
Yeah. Because
Lee Marie had him come in to talk about. I've got just such a passion for my Vietnam vets and any vet. Well, my son's a veteran. Did not serve the amount of time your sweet husband did. My goodness, that's a career. And so I always tell everybody that is my biggest regret is I did not serve in the military. It really is. I regret not doing that. And I just was.
But your son?
My son did, yeah, but it's one of those things. They recruited me hard because I'm such a big girl, and they're like, "Oh, you'd be a great soldier." Oh, yeah, they came after me. And what was really funny is I have a cousin who's just absolutely brilliant, Chester Wilson, and he served in the Air Force Academy and went through the academy. And when they were coming to talk to him, I don't know if I've ever told him this, but they were really talking to me because they were starting to have women and they wanted women basketball players, and I played basketball, and I'm like, I don't have the grades. I don't have the grades for it because I was not an academic.
Okay.
I'm very smart, but I don't like setting, unless I'm something, I love history, I love biblical studies. If it's something I'm passionate about, I can sit all day in class.
Right.
But if it's science and math and all that, I'm like, oh, please, no. And so I was like, and if they had made a way for me to get into the academy because they were looking for girls,
yeah,
you would have been furious. You'd have been furious. And, but they did. They were talking to me. I can't believe they would seriously have considered me. But, I mean, I had a decent GPA. I can't remember what it was in high school, but I was in beta club and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But we weren't a strong academic school either. We were rural Western Kentucky, that kind of thing. Wow. And you had to, my daddy would have gone to Lowe's High School, but he was brilliant. And he rode his Indian motorcycle to Mayfield High School because he wanted to go to the city school because he wanted to get a better education. And so there's that. But nonetheless, my greatest regret is I didn't serve in the military. And but nonetheless, I love my life. I love how it went. Yes. But nonetheless,
Well, and you do a wonderful job supporting military in the community.
Thank you.
So thank you
I
for
will
that.
always do that. And absolutely. Anything I can do. So that's what the Buddy Poppies are about, guys, is if you're giving to those, you're helping veterans in the area that might just need a hand, from a ride to the hospital. Yes. Somebody that maybe just needs some groceries. He was telling me yesterday that this sweet woman was a widow of a veteran and living in an apartment somewhere here in Springfield. And it was like Christmas Eve, and her son was coming home and her oven broke. Right. And I mean, she had no way to cook. And they found her a used oven for $100, and him and a bunch of veterans took that up there. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. Right. And I just I wanted to say, okay, Joe, next time that happens, call us. We can help you move it, please.
Well,
because I mean, number one, he's older than me. They probably don't need to be moving a stove, But no, I'm sorry, Joe. But of course, that may have been a while ago. But nonetheless, that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah. That kind of stuff. Yeah. And you just love it whenever you can serve like that. Exactly. And when you do have an opportunity to serve, it serves you back so much more.
Yes.
So much more. But what got this started with Katie is Lee Marie was telling me about these special studies that you guys do on Wednesday night. And y'all do, at the time, I can't remember which one it was, but she was telling me about it, and it was intriguing. And do you remember?
It was Psalms. I think when I first met you, we were doing Psalms. We finished that one, and then we just finished one on Max Lucado book on Revelation. Right. And then, so Wednesday was our last meeting until after school starts again.
Oh, I got you.
So it's another one of those like anchors.
Off.
Yeah, we take. So I'm like, oh no, I don't have. Gotcha. So yesterday I was like, wow, I'm really done with many things. Okay. So we do take summer off. A lot of our women go on, like we were just saying, vacations and things like that. And so we take a couple months off there. So
I'm so glad to know that y'all did Revelations. Now you can answer all my questions.
No, it was Max Lucado's study on Revelation. We were saying at the end of that study on Wednesday night, it was a kind of, it was not one of those that goes into, the symbolism or the deep rabbit holes into different whatever. It was very took a passage and kind of just discussed how that passage, just how it can apply to how we live today. Yeah, to be ready for when all these things come to pass.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So that was kind of So it wasn't a Revelation study where your mind.
When's he coming back? We're trying to decipher it.
Who is the but it's good.
I love that. I love Max Lucado. I love some of his children's books and stuff like that. I mean, it's so good. But what are y'all going to do next? What are y'all going to do next?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. So we left Wednesday night. We don't have a definite answer on that. So I'll probably use the summertime to kind of go through some things and just, I don't know.
Kind of said, Yeah. That'd be interesting. Because, I mean, I go down rabbit holes. Like I said, I love the Bama podcast and all that, but that's that's a long thing. Y'all like doing the different books. Have you ever done anything of Priscilla
Shire?
Yeah.
Yes. So we've done.
She's so good.
So
She's
2 years ago we did.
Hands down one of my
Priscilla
favorites.
Shire. Yeah. We did on. I think the last one we did with her that she had written was on the put on the armor of God from Ephesians 6. Yeah. So we did that one. That was good. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm open to some suggestions.
Christy McClellan's awesome.
I've not done any with her.
They're excellent. She's got some great studies out. I'm waiting for her to do one on Shabbat, on Sabbath.
Oh,
She has a study, and I know that it will come out because she's part of Lifeway now. You know, they publish all of her stuff. And so I'm sure it'll all be rolling out because she did the one, Jesus and Women, and that's when I was first introduced to her. And because I was studying that too, and somebody said, you need to study that. And so it was good to see it, presented in that form in just so if you haven't done Jesus and Women, that's excellent. Okay. And then she did one just on Israel, and that's the one of hers that I studied was the Jesus and Women. But I went through her classes. She has this thing called New Lens Bible, and she's a professor down at Williamson College, I think is the name of it, in Franklin. She's a professor down there, and so she started this online study called New Lens. So I registered for that and did all of her classes on that, and so. The Israel book she came out with, I believe, is very much like the class. And so I thought, well, I've already studied that. So I just kind of did that. And then she has one about Sabbath that is excellent. Okay. It is so good. It would be a wonderful women's retreat weekend because it's long enough that it would be a great women's retreat study. Okay. Oh, it's good. But I've not heard if she's published it or anything, but she was just talking about her understanding of Sabbath, and it is so good. But I look for a Lifeway to push that out pretty soon. Okay. I would be surprised if that's not one of her next ones.
What's her name?
Christy McClellan. Christy McClellan. She's very good. Okay. Very good. And what's really interesting about her is she worked for missions for years and years and has traveled the world for missions and then became a professor and then studied in Israel. So she's just kind of the kind of woman you want to be when you grow up.
Well-rounded.
Yeah. And she's had to push back against that women's role thing, because she's in the pulpit a lot. And so a lot of people, give her a hard time for that. And so she's had to push back against that. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. And so it's interesting for me to hear her and hear her journey. So I'll tell you another one. If you've not, there's a woman from... where's she from? I can't remember. Katia Adams. Where is she from? She is from, she's like, Dad, blame it. She's married to a man from Africa, but from South Africa. Where is Dr. Adams from? But she is a family physician, but she does ministry and, I'm just going completely blank on this. I'll find it out in just a second here. But she is absolutely wonderful. And let me find it here. I bet I can find it in just a moment. But she is somebody that I highly recommend. She has at least one book out, but you would like her too. But Dr. Adams is just absolutely wonderful. And she's just... she's got just a lot of good stuff out, but I really love her too. But there's a lot of good ones out there. Yeah, there's just so many great people you could study.
There are a lot of good resources, and which is nice to have.
For sure.
It's good to have that kind of.
And I'm not finding it, but anyway, I'll figure it out in a minute. I can't. I'm just going blank. You know how sometimes you do.
I do. That is more and more.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're trying to message me on social media, for some reason I can't see my social media page. I can see it here, so I can't see. Well, there we go. I can see comments here now. Okay. But let's see. Lee Marie is putting up some stuff. I can't see it. I'm trying to watch it on my devices here, and it's not working. Well, there it is. My iPad are dead, and it's like, I'm just,
I do.
It's been one of those days. We had yesterday, my husband, bless his heart, he was backing out somewhere and got up against a fire hydrant. Praise the Lord, he didn't knock the fire hydrant over him, but it just took the whole side out of his tire.
Oh, no.
He was just distracted from a lot of different things going on. And bless his heart, he was just having one of those mornings. And there's Raymond Knowles. Hey, brother, how you doing? I told him, I saw him at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. I say, just say hi in the comments. So I'm glad I can see it here on this computer. But so we had to deal with a torn up tire because we had insurance on it from the place where we bought it. So we had to drive back in. It was just
oh my goodness,
one of them days.
One of those days.
One of them days. So nothing's charged, So
just,
here we are.
Here we are.
But Katie Allen's here, and we're just talking about the things that we like to study and the things that we have a passion for. And I believe above all is being a follower of Jesus Christ and making sure that we're shining the light in the darkness. That's probably, I think I know you well enough to say that's your number one priority.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to. I mean, and every morning when I wake up, I don't always kind of feel that bright, but definitely taking every thought captive and giving it back to Christ. Yeah. That's my priority.
That's just it. And, we were talking about the different things that we want to study. And one thing that I keep telling everybody, I work with Celebrate Recovery. And when I was teaching the class on Wednesday night, just reminding everybody that when you're struggling with something, if you're trying to stop, we talk about strongholds, and I said I had it defined. Bobby Davis, I think, gave me this definition. He's that preacher up in Cookville at Life Church that I love so much. But he said, "How do you figure out what's a stronghold for you?" He goes, "If it has a strong hold on you."
That's a strong, right?
I was like, okay, and I was just like,
complicated.
But I'd never heard it put that way.
It's
like, well, how do I decide what has a strong? Right. And then somebody goes, well, but give me some. And I told him, I said, if you've got something that you can't fast from, and set it aside, it might have a strong hold on you.
Yeah.
And so that's how I gauge it. So if I'm doing something repetitively and I can't stop it, that might be a problem, whether it be Netflix or
just social media.
Yeah.
I've really been considering a fast of social media.
Yeah. It's hard.
It is difficult. And I would think, I'm not even on that, or I don't even post that much, but it's not even, it's just, it's almost like my hand just habitually just clicks on the app without even I don't even know I'm doing it until it's done.
Don't.
That was just kind of scary.
Well, yeah.
So I think that is a stronghold in probably something I need. When you said that, I was like, that could be a stronghold. I'm thinking about that, and because I stay on a lot of times because I do a lot of that communication with the Bible study group, right? Well, if we're not in Bible study for the summer, maybe it's a good time to break from that a little bit. I don't know.
But the summertime is when we can work on that stuff a little bit more conveniently.
Yeah.
I
think so. You can maybe be more in present and where you are. If I'm doing chores outside, there's no need to take my phone with me, maybe, kind of thing.
Yeah. Then see, and that's one thing too. I find myself, I will go to look something up, and the next thing I know, I'm on the stupid Facebook looking at the clips or whatever they call those things. And I'm like, what am I doing?
I'm looking at silly memes,
I'm looking at cat videos.
Or I like something made me laugh.
I was looking something up and it just draws you in.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think these devices have a strong hold on all of us.
Kind of do.
All of us. And so, but then you go to the thing, it's like, well, people expect constant communications now.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. And it's like, when somebody's messaging me and if I don't respond immediately, I think we need some kind of an app that says, I am fasting from social media. If you want to get in touch with me, send me an email or
a phone call.
Yeah,
I never call anybody on my phone. I don't. I don't. It's very odd.
No, and that's funny. I'm not one that likes to talk on the phone.
I like to talk on the phone very much.
I don't either.
And I would assume. I don't know why that is, but I would assume just send a text and get to the point of whatever it is, rather than hey. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe I need to get back to the phone and talk to people.
Well, and I tell you what broke me of it is after my sister passed away, because my sister died before my mama, and so she died in like 2019, I think, and mother just last year, and so right before my sister passed, she says, "You got to call mama, you got to call mama more." And I was like, okay, because my sister would call her every day.
Yeah.
And I just never, I mean, I'd call her, every few days maybe,
Sure.
certainly, once a week, but I just don't like talking on the phone.
Right.
And I've got a really good friend of mine, and we'll every now and then catch ourselves talking on the phone, but you can tell she and I both, neither one really like to be on the phone. We would rather, face-to-face conversation. And so I think it's one of the reasons we're such good friends, Muriel. But I started calling, I made a point to take, when I was in the car, call mom, just see what's going on.
Yeah.
So if I was in the car, 9 times out of 10, I was on the phone with my mother, hands free.
Yeah.
But I would talk to mother. And I want to tell you something. It helped. We got closer than we'd ever been in my entire. I was always a days girl, so I was closer to my dad than my mom. But it really developed our relationship in a real special way. And so I'm really glad my sister gave me that advice. And she also gave me this lovely coat. She didn't like the way I dressed. She goes, "I'm leaving you my clothes." What are you saying, LaDonna? And she's like, "I'm leaving you my clothes, LaVern. I want you to take them." I'm not kidding. These are the things she told me before she passed. She's like, "You need to dress better and you need to call mother." And I'm like, okay. But anyway, I'm so glad she gave me that advice, because I don't know if I would have been intentional about it if she hadn't done that.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I'm like you. Phone calls are something that but we could maybe send a message out and saying, I'm fasting from my devices.
Yeah.
So if you need to get in touch with me, text me or email me, and I will check them once a day at this time.
Yeah. Right.
Something like that. If it's an emergency, you can call me, maybe call 2 or 3 times. I don't know if because we don't have landlines anymore.
Right. No.
And so I guess there would be a way to say, well, if you absolutely need me, call my landline, but nobody has them.
Yeah.
No,
Isn't that crazy?
So I don't know. It'd be, you'd have to have a code for my kids. It'd be like, okay, call and let it ring twice, then call again and let it ring once, and then call again and I'll answer it. Or so I don't know.
I couldn't keep it that straight. What?
Yeah.
It'd be 3 or 2 or 1?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like, so what's the code? What's the ring code?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's funny.
That would. I don't know.
It would be hard though. It would
be very difficult.
It would be very difficult
and
to completely set your devices down.
Yes, it would.
So they have a strong hold on us, y'all. But I think they do. So I don't know. But I think this summer I don't know what all I'm going to do this summer. We've got some things that are still kind of up in the air, so we're just kind of trying to figure summer out. But we've got the trips, scheduled, and
absolutely.
We were planning on doing some work on our house, on the interior of our house. I think we're going to try to do that. Okay. My husband says we're going tomorrow to get paint for the porch. I'm like, yes, sir. We had, for years, this vine growing up. I love English ivy. Uh-huh. I looked like I had ivy going up the front of the back. Well, it's actually technically the back of my house, and I loved it.
Yeah.
That polar vortex we had a few years ago killed it. So I had all these dead vines hanging on so I had to take them down, and my husband's like, we're not regrowing it. We're not regrowing it on the house. And I'm like, okay, I think you're right. And because number one, if there's a chance of it dying like that after I'm like, I'm just not going to take the time to grow it again. But I loved it though. But it's really destroyed some of the wood thing on my house. And so we've got to do some work to restore that. So that's a project that's got to get done.
Yeah.
And some handrails and things like that. So we've got some things like that on the exterior we got to do.
Yeah.
But I want to really like move a bathroom just down and take out an interior wall. It's not a support wall. It's just, take and just kind of open a room up.
We did that a few years ago with the bathroom. Yeah. We took out a closet. Yeah. We were like, it was in a guest bedroom, and we decided we could do without that closet in order to make a half bath into a full bath. Yeah. So we did that a few years ago.
Do you have to go to codes for that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, we hired somebody to do it. We didn't. Well, when I say we had it, we did it. We didn't do it. We hired somebody to do it.
Because that's the thing. And they took care of all that. So I need to go and talk to Trent Cobb, because he works with codes, and say, okay, do I need to have you come and look at this? Because we want to do it right.
Yeah.
Because if you do work that you're supposed to have codes do, or codes check on and you don't, it can mess up your homeowner's insurance.
Yeah.
You need to be really careful about that. So that's why I can call him and see. I wouldn't think you would have to for something like this.
I don't know. Like I said,
I don't know.
We hire professionals in the area, and I don't know if I can say their name, but whatever. But they're very professional and they take care of. So maybe for that it didn't need to be. I don't know. Maybe, but if it did, they took care of it.
I'm a DIY person. Let's just say I'm cheap. I'm just cheap. I'm super cheap, and I have a really hard time. I will hire a plumber. I've got a plumber.
We don't. Yeah. So now Jeff is very handy. Jeff has many hobbies. He's very good at many things. He has himself said though, I don't want to do plumbing and I don't want to do electrical.
Yeah, those two things I want.
Because he doesn't, and those things can kill you if you don't know what you're doing, especially the electric, right?
Yeah.
So we just have decided for the sake of our safety and our marriage, it's good to hire people who do know how to do that.
That's funny. Well, see, I have a son that's an electrical engineer. And but he's in Huntsville. He's never here. So I mean, So we had to hire an electrician just last year for something, and so we will. I'm an electrician and plumber. Those are two things. But when it comes to building a wall or putting down flooring, things like that, I'm
sure you can do. Yeah.
And I like doing that kind of stuff. And so my husband's like, he would rather hire it done, but I'm too cheap.
Okay.
I'm just too cheap. I'm like, well, I just want to pay to do that when I could do it myself.
Yeah.
But
if you feel confident in that, absolutely. And those are the kind of things I think you could YouTube it and figure out. Go to YouTube University and figure out how to do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love YouTube University.
Me
you can
too.
Learn to do anything.
Pretty much.
I love it. So, and you can. That's where I have. It's 1:45, Katie. I just looked at the clock.
Anything to talk about. We figured out how to.
Let me pause. Let me pause and do a break because I need to talk about one of my sponsors here real quick. I got two sponsors I need to talk about, and I probably will talk about the third one too because I always talk about Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market because they're just so fun to talk about. And she's got all kinds of flavored brats out there, guys, for Memorial Day. I think we're going to try to go by there today. We had just I was planning on going yesterday, and we had a flat tire, so we're going to try to get by there again today, but I can't say enough about them, but right now I want to talk about the UPS store. It's not just the place that you drop off your packages for Amazon. Okay. It's not just the place you return for, your Amazon packages. Did you know that the UPS store, they do notary, they do passport photos, they do shredding. They actually have a coupon out right now for a big discount on shredding. And the one thing about the coupons that you find from the UPS store, if you have one from last month, you can still use it. They never expire, but they hand them out, and that, like, they're right now, the coupon that you're going to get if you go in there is for a discount on shredding. But the coupons never expire. They had one last month where you could get a discount on ordering invitations and postcards and things like that. So people are still doing that. Because we're still in graduation season, even though pretty much the graduations are over. Some of the graduation parties haven't happened. Sometimes people put those things off. And I mean, my kids had to, they've been doing the invitations for the wedding, all these things. You can get this done at the UPS store. They do custom printing. I talk about how that I went in there and had them do the name tags for us for Celebrate Recovery because the ones I was making at church just didn't look very professional. And so I had to make them at the UPS store, and they did an excellent job. I was actually in there one day, and I get so tickled because I was in there, and this guy had this huge tank thing that he was going to ship. I mean, I've seen some bizarre things that they bring in that people can package and ship. And it was for artificial insemination of cattle. I was like, what? So you can literally ship anything from the UPS store, guys. But it is a great store, and I mean, great customer service. I cannot say enough about the customer service. I've gone in there, and they'd just be 10 people deep, and they're just polite, they're patient, they're helpful, they're efficient. Cannot say enough about the people at the UPS store up here on Memorial Boulevard. They're at 513 Memorial Boulevard in Springfield. If you need to call them, 615-384-0093, 615-384-0093 for Springfield's, the UPS store. They are not just the place you drop off your Amazon packages. So when you get in there, please let them know that you turned sent you. And yes, go by and see Bernard Farms and get you some brats for Memorial Day. I mean, she's got like habanero brats and Hawaiian. Let's see, where's that list, Julie? I had shared it the other day. But and the thing is though, they'll sell out because I mean they go quick. But she did. They had the original bratwurst. They had Kentucky bourbon, Hawaiian bratwurst, habanero, and mango, and then jalapeno.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, and this is they slaughtered the hog this week to make those brats.
Oh, cool.
So it's that fresh.
Yeah,
it's
nice.
that fresh. And then they have they have all kinds of pork ribeyes, pork steak, St. Louis ribs, Boston butts, and pork chops for Memorial Day. So I just got to, give some love to Bernard Farms.
Nice.
And we'll talk about Barry and Rebecca in a minute. What else you want to talk about? We still got 10 minutes, Katie.
No, 10 more minutes. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. I can't remember the ladies' names, but they are part of what's called the Gospel Coalition. And they were talking about kitchen table counseling. And I think what they were talking about, basically what that, kind of sort of what that sounds like, just counseling amongst Christian friends, how that, it was just an interesting podcast about, not professional counseling in the sense, but just to how to help a friend who is in need of just needing to share or needing to, just express pain or an emotion or whatever, just how to kind of handle that and how to be a good listener, I guess. I guess from a counseling point of view, which I do professionally, it was interesting, and it was good though. It was just she made a good point. One of the ladies made a good point about when somebody comes to you and they need to share, and they choose you to share with, how do you best respond to that person, and rather than jumping in with a
Here's what you should do.
This is what you should, or this is what, I totally get it because this happened to me or whatever, rather than putting that on the person, just being quiet and just listening and just saying, what do you need from me? And maybe a lot of times what it is just somebody just needs to have you listen.
Yeah.
And nothing more. And anyway, with 10 minutes to go, it's kind of, I don't know how much more we can get into it, but it was an interesting podcast. And I thought, that's true. Just being able to sit with somebody, just being able to, they use the phrase, I've heard that a lot now, sit with it, sitting with the person or holding their story, basically just taking it and not sharing it with somebody else. That's what it means when it says, I can hold this for you. If it's a hard thing going on or whatever. So anyway, I'll try and pick up and listen to more to that today. Actually, I didn't finish it. So
that's interesting. And, and that's something that having this sensitivity to know when you need to just listen and hold the story.
Yes.
Because sometimes people do need to hear your experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, sometimes they do need to. And I think that comes with more communication as the conversation goes, or maybe 2 or 3 times meeting with somebody or to talk to somebody, and they'll probably let you know. They'll in a lot of ways they'll say, well, what do you think? What should I do? Or this is whatever. And I think that's your invitation to say, well, here's kind of something I've experienced similar to that. And also they made a good point too. If somebody comes to you, it's not helpful either when someone comes to you and what they're asking or saying is probably going to lead to destruction in some way, to say, and to be so overly empathetic and say, well, you do whatever you need to do. That's not either, that's not wise either. If they came to you if somebody comes to you knowing your point of view, your worldview on things, and it's contrary to what they know you think, for you to say, well, just you do you, isn't helpful either.
No.
That will help lead to somebody's destruction. So, to be honest with somebody too, and not in a loving, Christ-like way is the best thing you can do for somebody too.
Yeah. And, we cover that in CR with testimonies. That's one of the things we were talking about on the topic for Wednesday night was confess. and how that the verse, one of our key verses that Celebrate Recovery is confess your sins to each other so you can pray for each other so you can be healed.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot on this show about how we define sin a lot of the times as the things we've done wrong, but sin is anything that interrupts your peace. And it could be things that have been done to you. It could be things you've done to others. It could be anything and everything that interrupts the peace, the shalom that God has for you to live in. And so we've had something that has interrupted our peace this week in my home, right? And I need to hear people's experience because it's something I've never experienced and don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And so while I've been discussing it with people, I need that feedback. I need to say, what do we do with this? And so that's real important. But there are always things that I'm like, my husband will attest to this. I just need you to listen. I don't need you to tell me how to fix it. I just need you to be an ear now. And I need you just to hold this.
Yep.
So just having the ability to discern that is a gift. And I imagine with you being a counselor, it's something you have to constantly work for.
Yes. I mean, I think some people are more predisposed to that than others, and that's fine. But you have to build on that with your skill set too. When you go to your graduate studies, and then you have to do, when you work with clients, it gets, like anything, it's you like a muscle that you exercise, it gets, stronger or whatever. So, but yeah, I have to like keep that in check. It's maybe sometimes my knee-jerk reaction is to like jump in and, we could try all these things, but problem solving is not really a counselor's job per se. It's to kind of sort of let the client understand that he or she has to come up with that answer, whatever's going on. Yeah.
This is something I've never asked you, and I hadn't thought to do this. And I'll let you, I'll let you answer this question when I come back from break. I'm going to do a break, and we probably don't have just a few minutes. But how do you handle? Because you don't work in. Do you work for a faith-based company?
No.
How do you handle that part of it when you're talking to somebody and they just need Jesus? And I would think that would be the biggest struggle because my son is a counselor. And he is a devout Christian. And I've never really had that conversation with him either. How do you deal with that when people really, they need Jesus? Let me let you answer that in just a second. And we don't have a ton of time, but we got to talk. I can't believe it's nearly 8:00. This is insane. This has gone so fast. I love talking to you. We just have so much fun.
You too. Absolutely.
And it gets us up and out,
He gets me up and out of the door.
Gets us up and out while we're out from school. But we're going to talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. Do you know you can call them and you can get a free market analysis of what your home value is. And this is something I never even thought to do. And Rebecca was saying the other day, we were at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. And whenever I was, talking between the bands, they're one of the main sponsors for the event. And I said, what do you want me to say? She says, tell them to come over and I'll give them a free market analysis, no strings attached. And that's the kind of thing. What if you need to take an equity loan out in your home and you don't really know what the value is? And you think, well, how much could I reasonably do? And, suddenly you find yourself, maybe you're going to, get a job in another city and you suddenly need something. Having that knowledge, that's your most important investment really is your home, your land. And knowing what it's worth matters. I just can't say enough about I thought that was just a really cool concept is just come and let us do a free market analysis for you. And Barry was talking about, how they both got mentored into real estate and they both came out of different careers. He was a marketer. She worked in radiology and then raised her kids. They went with Exit because it crossed every T and dotted every I. Everything they needed was with Exit. So now they've got a new branch in the Exit tree. It's Exit Prime Realty, and that's how you can find them on social media. But Barry said, if you want to be a realtor, I'm going to be super honest with you, and it might talk you out of it because it's not for everybody. I love the honesty in that. They don't sugarcoat it. They're just wonderful folks to work with. You're going to love them. They're up in Cross Plains, so they specialize in Robertson County properties, but also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky because they're like me. They're from Kentucky. If you want to reach out to them, Rebecca's office is in White House. She has the agency office there. He has a brokerage office here in Springfield. Her number is 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. When you get in touch with them, please let them know U-Turn sent you. So now in the remaining time, how do you deal with that as a counselor? That question. I mean, I would think that would be tough.
Yes, it can be. When I was doing more like practice in a clinical setting, I don't really do clinical stuff right now. Mm-hmm. It's more of a social skills and emotional support for kids. But when I was in clinical, I would pray before a session, especially if I knew that the client coming in was going to be a kind of a heavy hour. I would pray about it, and I don't, in that setting, I did not bring up Jesus or where they were spiritually. But a lot of times, a client will tell you where they are, and they'll give you clues as to what they're open to, or if they are a Christ follower. And then, so with that, if they would give me that information, then I would go with it. Because they offered it to me.
Right.
And so I'd be like, okay, well, what I hear you saying is that you do believe, that Jesus is, where you're going to find your peace, whatever. So I hear you saying that. So then I would go with that. And then I just take their lead. And so a lot of times God would give me an opening like that, and I would go with it. And then if they weren't, then I don't bring that up.
Yeah.
You can kind of discuss life choices, and does this life choice, does this going to lead you to a healthier life, or better choices or better outcomes, and how that kind of lines up, with just spiritual laws of God and nature. If you make bad choices, bad things happen. Better choices, better thing. But I didn't bring it up a whole lot with people who didn't want to talk about that, just because. Well, in this line of work, you can, that can get in the way of your licensure.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So your license, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
I mean, probably if a client, if a client could complain, I guess, and make it a complaint officially against you if they thought you were trying to push an agenda on them like that.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Because see, I don't, my son won't talk about this stuff with us because of privacy stuff. He just doesn't, he's very much, I'm a counselor, but he doesn't discuss, he's super careful because of privacy issues and stuff. And so he takes that he's very good. He's counseled me, and I think he's so good at what he does. But I would think that would be a challenge. I just think that would be a challenge.
It can be challenging.
I didn't know that was your license.
Yeah. I mean,
especially with the social issues we deal with today.
Right. So you got it. Right. So, I mean, I would never talk specifics about things, but I mean, if somebody made a formal complaint, then you have to at least, you'd have to kind of defend that or whatever, or you might potentially lose your license.
I didn't realize that. Because I can imagine, and I guess the thing, I think about the gender issues that are going on, and I would imagine that counselors have that conversation with a lot of people, and wow, that would be hard.
Yeah.
That would be hard.
And so that would be, if I were working in private practice right now, I don't, that would be something I would, right now in the scope of practice that I work in what I do, it's not something that I run into.
Yeah.
So
we have to deal with it in school.
Right. Right.
And I was asked the question, and I know we're over time now, but I just want to finish this real quick. But I was asked the question the other day, is there a professional development day that you really got something out of? And they had taken us in for a countywide one, where a counselor talked to us about dealing with kids that are going through these gender issues. And, people are like, you're a Christian, you say, you're a girl. And it's like, she says, why don't we just tell them, call them by the name they need to be called to keep them from wanting to kill themselves? And I'm like, wow.
So, so the clinical counselors have to go that direction.
Yeah. And I was like, these kids are struggling, and I'm going to love on you. And, And I thought that was pretty powerful because, we need to make sure. It's kind of like the reason why we give people Narcan. Everybody's like, well, you're just enabling them because they'll use Narcan to get high, and it gives them a bigger high. And I heard somebody say one time, no, we give addicts Narcan to teach them, to keep them alive until they just see they want to live. And for some people that are dealing with their gender issues, let's keep them alive until they can figure this stuff out. And let's just encourage and love. I don't, it's a tough one. It is. I mean, you know, I was listening to Charlie Kirk the other day, and he was like, "What happened to our tomboys?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm a tomboy. I'm still a tomboy.
Yeah,
I'm still a tomboy."
Sure.
And I wrote a blog years ago that went viral. It's called "I Wished I'd Been Born a Boy," and it was right when Bruce Jenner, this stuff was happening, and it went very viral. And I heard from people all over the country on this thing, and it was because I was like, I was a tomboy and I outgrew it, and I'm so glad people let me. You know, and I'm so glad I'm not a tomboy now, because people be like, well, have you considered gender or Rias? And it's like,
to
really
change your physical.
And so I would imagine as a counselor, that would be just such a tough issue.
Yes, it would be it would be a tough issue. And I guess I've kind of been thankful, I guess, before it kind of became a bigger issue. I mean, it's been there for a long time, but it really became a bigger issue in recent years. That the job I'm in has allowed me to kind of I just really haven't you know, I'm thankful that I just haven't had to like kind of just focus on that kind of stuff.
But but
if I were in private practice now, I would be probably having to deal with that.
Yeah, I would imagine. But I would imagine that would be tough. And you just, like you said,
it'd be very
right
tough.
before every session.
Right.
And then that's something that I think we forget to do is we get into these conflicts and we forget to just stop and pray about it.
And I would be in the middle of a session sometimes, and you know, there would be days where it would be kind of crazy in one client after another, and maybe I didn't totally, you know, pray as much as I was, you know, as I should have. And I'm like, you know what, in the middle of the session, I'm like, Lord, I should have prayed some more.
Yeah.
And so be with me now. Yeah. But yeah. So, but it's a kind of a fine line to,
I would think that would be difficult, though.
Yeah.
And we're out of time, and I know Yo-Yo's going. It's 6 after. But this was important stuff. And I mean, time just got away from us today. But before we go, Katie Allen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your summer, and I'll see you next month on the 4th Friday, if you're in town.
Yep.
If you're not, you may be dealing with
I
babies or something.
I might be in Kansas City dealing with a baby. I will let you know. I'll let you know.
We'll check it out. But her husband, Jeff, who is a veteran, 21 years, you said? 23 years, veteran, will be speaking at the Greenbrier Memorial Day celebration, and that's going to be at 9:00 at Austin and Bell up in Greenbrier, which is up on Highway 41. I'm going to run through these real quick again. That's again on Highway 41, and then on Monday at 11, right there at the flag pose at the White House Municipal Complex, there is a Memorial Day celebration. We have got a special thing for the kiddos today at the American Legion. You can go by at 10:30 to 11:30 for a special presentation at the American Legion. Get your Betty Poppies all week. Make sure and make a good donation to the VFW and to the Women's Auxiliary, or to the Auxiliary. It's not the Women's Auxiliary anymore, the Auxiliary. And they can, they're going to help out the veterans. Today at 5, they need volunteers to help set flags on soldiers' graves at the Greenbrier Cemetery in Greenbrier. And I think that's got all the stuff. And I will be here Monday morning. We will talk about Terry Smith. We'll talk about Kenneth Pease. And if you have somebody else you want us to talk about and remember that paid the ultimate price, let me know and we'll share their story too. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Hope you have a fabulous day, and find out somebody's story this Memorial Day and share it with others so we don't forget that our freedom is not free. This is 1100 WSGI.